I'm 19 years old. Old enough to buy a pack of cigarettes, but young enough to die from their toxins if I start using them now or ever. I'm 19 years old enough to be locked up in a prison cell, but young enough to get a second chance because I have years to spare, or do I? I'm 19 years old. I'm 19 years old. Old enough to be deployed to Afghanistan, but young enough to suffer an entire life with PTSD if I'm not killed. I'm 19 years old. Old enough to drive the alcoholics home, but young enough to be arrested if I dare enjoy a beer or two. I'm 19 years old. Old enough to get married, but young enough to set a bad example if I do, because I don't know what love is, right? I'm 19 years old. Old enough to understand that cigarettes cause cancer and cancer can kill me just as easily as M16 or IED. And jail is a place not only for bad people but for good people who mess up too. I'm old enough to realize that the United States has the worst problem with alcohol abuse and the most restrictive drinking age. And this is not a coincidence, because we hate alcohol and we hate drugs, and we hate them because we can't control them. And I'm old enough to understand that the reason we can't control them is because we hate them so damn much. I'm old enough to understand that marriage does not equal love, and love is not something you can depend on. Because even if you love someone, that does not mean crap unless you can show it. I'm old enough to be held responsible for not only myself but also for others. And for some of us, that comes sooner than 19. But for me, I was lucky. And I wasn't forced to grow up, I chose to. So here I am, 19 years old enough to understand that age has nothing to do with intelligence, but young enough to sound like a desperate cliche when I say that, as if the more breaths I take, it will give me more credibility. And maybe then, when I tell you how effed up this society is, you will believe me. Because for right now, I'm only 19 years old. Too old to act young, but too young to act old. Doesn't it suck being 19?